I am devastated over the death of 18-year-old Tyler Clementi. If you don't know, Tyler was a bright student at Rutgers University whose life was senselessly cut short. He was outed as being gay on the internet, and he killed himself.
The world are reacting tonight to the terrible news of the death of Robin Williams. The 63-year-old actor and comedian died of an apparent suicide.
She was known as Becca, and police say she took her life after getting bullied relentlessly by kids on the internet.
Newly released text messages obtained by Eyewitness News shed more light on how a Massachusetts teen allegedly encouraged a fellow teen to commit suicide.
A 13-year-old girl from Tacoma, Washington jumped off a bridge onto a busy interstate after her father shamed her on social media.
Wait, when did suicide become so popular?
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention released startling data Thursday on suicide rates among young people. The report looked at men and women ages 10 to 24 and compared data from 1994 through 2012. Some of those key points include suicide rates among girls and young women have significantly increased in the U.S., with suffocation being the method most often chosen. The uptick went from 2.7 to 3.2 per 100,000 women. But those numbers are still relatively low when compared to the number of men who take their own lives. Though the suicide rate among boys and men has declined, there are still around 11.9 per 100,000 men in the U.S. who commit suicide. That's down from 15.7 at the beginning of the study. While the findings could prove to be very important in the way of suicide prevention, according to the lead author, the report is missing at least one key aspect. The data don't allow us to determine why. Is it social media? Is it conventional media? Is it access to other methods? Or maybe it's something else.
Some who work in suicide prevention believe poor U.S. economic conditions are partly to blame.
What you see is people losing jobs, so those life stressors are increased.
The CDC numbers also showed about 17% of high school students reported they have seriously considered suicide, with 8% saying they've tried to kill themselves at least once in the past year. For Newsy, I'm Jasmine Bailey.
I wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend. You could cut ties with all the lies that you...
I mostly just use Instagram and Snapchat. I use like Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
I also use Facebook from time to time. I don't know if you count YouTube as social media.
I use a lot of social media. I use Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Tumblr. Does Pinterest count?
Pinterest can count.
Okay.
Yeah.
I use Twitter, Instagram, and like sometimes Facebook, like I have one.
Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook.
Yeah, I use Snapchat.
Oh yeah, that too.
Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. But I don't necessarily use Facebook. I use Facebook just in case somebody's like, "Hey, I found you on Facebook."
Yeah. I use Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat.
Yeah, I use social media, especially Facebook and Twitter.
Facebook and Twitter.
Cut ties with all the lies that you've been living in. And if you do not want to see me...
They're in movies and stuff, so like people see it and like they get the idea in their head.
Probably just a lack of hope. They just think that there's no other way around life.
Okay.
I would say that people are more exposed and they like to put all their emotions out there and it leaves them vulnerable.
I feel like you always have to look good, have a good opinion on everything, be everywhere, on every party, and know about everything, so that might be a lot of pressure.
Just because like social media and stuff like makes it like more popular and more known.
It probably has gone up mostly due to the LGBT movement, and like since a lot of kids are coming out, a lot of kids are also getting bullied by that because, well, America's still conservative.
I think it's harder for people to fit in. They're isolated, they're being bullied.
People don't like change. People don't like people that are different.
I feel like you just hear like a lot more about it nowadays. Like there's a lot more stories and like it's kind of like interpreted now into like movies and books.
It's true. Suicide is presented in many ways through the media. Famous books and movies, including Romeo and Juliet, The Twilight Saga, and The Hunger Games, all include suicide or suicide-related actions, whether it has an effect on you or not. Even today's music popularizes suicide. Artists such as The Weeknd and even Katy Perry have used depression and suicide as material to sing about. But the most infamous artist to romanticize suicide is Lana Del Rey. Songs such as Sad Girl, Pretty When You Cry, and Dark Paradise all portray suicide and depression as an artistic outlook. Even celebrity deaths have been used to romanticize suicide. Famous actor and comedian Robin Williams committed suicide on August 11, 2014 at his home at the age of 63. The Marin County coroner stated, Williams had hanged himself with a belt and died from suffocation. Williams' death surprised many, including his family, since his battle with depression wasn't public. The Academy's attempt to show his sympathy resulted in the romanticizing of his death. The tweet, Genie You're Free, uses one of his iconic acting roles to condone his suicide. Although the intentions were polite, it put a positive connotation on his suicide.
But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for.
"18-year-old Conrad Roy confided to his girlfriend about suicidal thoughts, expecting comfort and support. However, Carter relentlessly pressured Roy to follow through with the act and fast. According to prosecutors, for almost a week, Michelle Carter pressured her boyfriend Conrad Roy III to commit suicide until he finally gave in. She even researched methods that would make the events less painful, and counseled the 18-year-old to overcome his fears, all while lying to the police, his family, and her friends about his whereabouts before and after he poisoned himself with carbon monoxide in his pickup truck. Over 1,000 texts were sent to convince Roy to follow through with his initial plans. Conrad committed suicide in a Kmart parking lot inside of his exhaust-filled truck. Next to his body, police found the cell phone on which Carter listened to him die. According to prosecutors, Carter's motive was to receive as much attention and sympathy as she could as a result of her boyfriend's death. Although Carter's attorney claims that Carter was only exercising freedom of speech, prosecutors have charged Carter with involuntary manslaughter. After Conrad's death, Michelle used social media to show support and make it look as if she had no part in it. Although she provoked the suicide, her post explained how much she missed him and wanted to help stop suicide. She even organized a suicide prevention charity on Conrad's behalf.